Hello, viewers and listeners. On behalf of Rosefield Energy Tech Private Limited, I would like to announce our first series of The Other Side in Conversation With, where you will know about life journey of the great business leaders from the energy sector. We have conducted various events, webinars, training workshops to help you enhancing your knowledge and technical skills. However, we sincerely feel that if you want to achieve greater heights in your professional and personal life, you need to build a very strong character. So what is a better way than to listen to these business leaders talking about their life journey, who have followed strong values in their life and demonstrated great leadership qualities. So these conversations are built not around business strategies or goals or objectives of their organization, but more to know about the life journey which they have laid so far successfully and which makes them hugely successful. We firmly believe that such inspirations will help you achieve a success in your life, make a difference, not to just your life, but also lives of other people, create a strong community, build a nation, and hence better world to live in. I hope you will find these conversations highly valuable. So welcome to our first season of The Other Side in Conversation With. Today, I'm privileged to welcome a highly respected senior leader from the industry, Mr. Srinivasa Raghavan. Mr. Raghavan, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Shalin. Yeah, nice to be with you.
Yes, sir. Same here, sir. Srinivasa Raghavan is the Global President and CEO for TVS Sundaram Iyengar and Sons Private Limited, which is the dealership business of the TVS Group. He is also the Managing Director for TVS Automobile Solutions Private Limited, which is India's leading independent automotive aftermarket player. He is also a member of the Board of Directors for subsidiaries of TVS Automobile Solutions Private Limited, Universal Components UK Limited, TVS Europe Distribution Limited, and Nexus Automotive International, the largest buying group in Europe. Prior to joining TVS, he was head of India business at TCS. Mr. Raghavan, quite an interesting profile. And your journey from TCS to brick and mortar like TVS. Would like to start this conversation with my first question is that what made you think of making such transition from software to automobile?
Shalindra, I think this is one question that has come to me more than any other question from many people. And I think still my wife is not reconciled to that fact, about the change which has happened. But if I look at it, I honestly don't want to see this as a backward or a forward movement. But there was a moment in time when I had a meeting with Mr. Dinesh. But I met him as a potential client from TCS to say that how technology can change the landscape of the logistics business of TVS. In the course of conversation, I got a glimpse of what his vision is for the automotive industry. Because to be fair, that he was a visionary. Sometimes I still feel ahead of his time from an automotive aftermarket or a services business is concerned. I think we had a few conversations, we left it there, and then we continued to look at how technology could do. Then I think one conversation he asked, what would you like to do in life? And I said, I would love to be an entrepreneur someday, but since I'm a first generation guy, I don't have an appetite to do a zero-based startup. I would prefer to have an entrepreneurial approach to an established business. So that gives me space at the same time, but gives me scale to play with. And he said, if I offer you both, what would you do?
Okay.
So the whole idea, then he said, you have a $1.5 billion platform, and then you have an entrepreneurial advantage. Technically, it's not a startup, but I would say it's still a startup because now after almost 10 years, I keep saying that TVS is a 110-year-old startup because it has redefined itself for the last 110 years in many forms. often not marketed sufficiently to the rest of the world. Yeah, but I think that was the trigger point to say that, yeah, you're part of TCS, you've been doing very well, you've been reporting to a great boss who's now currently the chairman of Tata Group. At the same time, you have an opportunity to explore your identity, the part of it, and explore something meaningful which we can contribute back to the real market. Software, I wouldn't consider still as a real market. You're enabling proposition.
True.
Here you are the proposition, and you directly touch and feel around 10 million people who participate in the aftermarket, often unskilled, often unsupported. But what is the role which we could play? And I thought both the requirements gives you both personal comfort at the same time professionally a new space to experiment. And I would say with the zero risk attached. So why not try it? And that's it's more a shift from a software to an automotive. But now we are doing software in the automotive. That's about it. So it's like the tech has become now almost universal. So to that extent, the journey of TCS continues, not as a client, but as a incumbent. That's the way I would like to put it.
Quite interesting. Since you mentioned about digital, and I'm sure there must be a really good transformation happening at your group. So how do you define digital transformation now using technology?
So I think, okay, for the want of thing, we keep discovering new words every year. So digital is one other word for me. Okay. At the end of the day, it goes back to connecting with the customers. And we've been doing that, or any company, or a time immemorial, we've been doing that. Whether physical connection, or a memory-based connection, or a telephone-based connection, or an internet-based connection, and now we are saying mobility-based connection. Of course, mobility-based connectivity has a larger impact than another thing because it actually removes the distance and space. It discovers new models. It helps you to break the barriers of layers between you and your customer. Traditionally, in the automotive sector, there are 5 layers between customer and the manufacturer. Digital actually has an opportunity to remove all the layers and make it one layer. It's almost like an arc chart where n minus y to n becomes singular. Okay. So you remove all the layers so that there is a very participative decision making, participative business model. So the big one I feel is, while technology has always been there, the combination of the digital technology and the mobility is actually demolishing all the layers and make the customer participative in evolving the business model. If we continue to behave as a business the same way we behaved earlier, then this is not a digital business model. It is a digitized business model.
Digitized, wow. Okay.
If it's digital, you're making the customer participate in your business model. Okay. Thereby, it makes benefit to both you and the customer in strengthening the bondage or a loyalty or a stickiness for a higher wallet or gaining his confidence. I think that is where digital business model alters that equation. And how do you make the push to pull and providing to participative and thereby make him part of your business model? Okay. And that's the big shift.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting dimension you are given to this. Digitize. That's a very, very good word, and I think most appropriate word. We always have wondered, and particularly when my team also was researching on you, and we have seen that you manage so many companies so well. You are on board of directors on so many companies. One wonders that how do you manage, conflict of priorities, certainly. And I'm sure that there must be something in your DNA right from your childhood. You would have managed so many things. It would be interesting to know something, getting into your past, and would like to know, particularly for our viewers and listeners, it would be good to know what are the 3 defining moments you think in your life which have made Mr. Raghavan what he is today.
No, there are, you asked 2 questions fundamentally. One is about the time and priority management. Correct. And second is about the milestones in the journey which has helped me shape where we are. The time management credit goes entirely to my ex-boss, Mr. Chandrasekharan, okay, of Tata Consultancy Services. Yeah. He always says, you don't fix a time to think. Okay. If you're involved in your business, you're involved. There is no percentage of involvement. The more deeper you go, every time you're working, the thinking comes to you automatically. Can I do this differently? Can I do this better? Or do I need to do more? And if you want to do something more, there is no restriction for time. You always find a time to do something which you want. And that's why Chandra is where he is today. And if you work with him for 14 years, you imbibe a lot.
Wow.
Okay. You can find your time to sleep. You can find your time to be with your family. You can find your time to work. We talk about working from home today. Chandra used to give that flexibility when we were working for him.
Oh, really?
So we found in TCS, as long as you are able to manage and deliver and be with your team, it doesn't. I even managed like my US business from India, not as a delivery, even business.
Even
And I
business.
used to travel twice a week within a week to US. That means 4 days in a week you're in the flight on a
Oh.
long distance flight. But it's up to you. Up to you to be with your family. So
Very-
it's your individual call, which essentially says, do you have your priorities? For example, I learned it from one of my clients. His name Michel Habib. He was in Nielsen. He was a Jew. Every Friday, if I go to his room, he will have his daughter working along with him because the daughter is a holiday, for school holiday. And he
Okay.
says the best time to spend time with her, have her in my office. And evening, he will take her to the prom. He says, actually, he used to tell me, Dr. Raghavan, isn't my daughter beautiful? How can I leave her alone in a prom? So, and he was in a boardroom with me in a board meeting. His daughter called and he excused himself and said, what is it, honey?
Oh.
We shy away from resisting all this. And so I learned it from there. So when I used to be traveling every day, irrespective of days, irrespective of meeting, 3:30, my daughter and son used to call me when they're off from school. In the meeting I was in, I take that. Everybody knows that 3:40, I'll be on a call with my kids.
Wow.
And they tell me what happened in the school. And that was a learning from Michel Habib. And I didn't know how much it was. So when me, my daughter, and my friend was traveling in a car, my friend asked my daughter, your father doesn't stay with you. She said, no, he's always with me. And every day I have half an hour with me, quality time. That's more than enough.
Wow.
And I thought that clear. So it's not about priority or a time, is not about the quantity of a time. And it's neither the quality. It's the effort you make for what you want to do. And you will find a way to manage it. So otherwise, it's a lame excuse that I don't have the time. And I realized it because on a different context today, because I come from a very different background. So I wanted to learn Vedas.
Okay.
And I said at 51, 52, it's so difficult to do some learning and so much to read. And somebody said, can you give me 1 hour a day? And I said, yes, I can. And we spent 1 hour a day. And today I think I've covered significantly in learning Vedas in Sanskrit, which I didn't know anything in the past 51 years, but covered significant ground. So sometimes I feel it's because we don't quantify the effort. We think time in a generic abstract sense. But if you quantify the effort, you will be able to manage more time than what you need. You have more time. So that's on the time front, which what you said.
Correct.
Milestone, I wish to capture this in 3 bosses. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to go too much into personal because there's nothing much to write home about, honestly. But there are people who shape your thinking. And it will be highly inappropriate if I don't quote them.
Okay.
I used to have 3 bosses I named. One was Mr. Srinath in Tata Teleservices.
Okay.
The second one was Mr. Phil Guione, or my first client in the US. He's a French guy, BA history, but CIO for IT role.
Okay.
But tremendous leader. Third was obviously Mr. Chandra. So there are 3 people, who shape your milestone. Mr. Srinath taught me that if you don't plan for if you don't have an ambition for where you want to go,
Okay.
then don't waste my time.
Very powerful.
He's not saying you plan it and all that. Those are all secondary.
Yeah.
If you don't have an ambition of where you want to go and ready to slog for that, then don't waste my time. And when you work along with him, honestly, there are common characteristics of all the 3. They don't have divisions of day and night. They have only the goal in their mind. It's not that they are workaholics. They are steadfast, committed to the conviction, business conviction. And they always say, don't fear to spell out what you are and what you think. Don't worry if I take it, I mistake you. It's my problem, not your problem. You should have the freedom to say. Only then you shape your identity. Otherwise, you're sucking up to your boss and they will manage you. You can't manage them.
Okay.
And I think that was a tremendous one, though it's only 2 years of the time. I thought the learning journey which he put me on to broaden the thinking was phenomenal. Phil was very different. I joined as a client partner from TCS to go to the client. And when we went, we were one person and he was 140 people. In 2 years, we were 130 people. He has 10 people.
Oh.
Okay, entire thing was outsourced to us. But at every time he moved from IT head to the CIO to the COO to the CU. And I used to remain as an account head. Then he asked me one question, Raghavan, I grew up in a career thanks to you because I do mock calls with him for his interviews. But you didn't grow. Which means you were still stuck in the traditional definition of TCS. You're not changing TCS for me. Even in this account, you're waiting for the company to change, but you're not changing the company in the limited boundary what it was here in this account. And that forced us to start the travel and hospitality practice of TCS, which became a $250 million business in 3 years.
Interesting.
So we started investing not just IT. In fact, we were the first analytics company in India in 2004. Okay, now we talk analytics. We started analytics in 2004.
No.
We started revenue management and yield management in offshore software. We became an integrated solutions company, not just IT. You know the part.
Yeah.
I thought Chandra gave the room to invest, and Phil said that one question he brought me to say, you're not growing with me. And therefore, so a small account can be as big as 25 million, primarily because of what we want that account to be. And it became a showcase for entire TCS. You know, the perspective. I think that was the trigger point. And the third was Chandra. Chandra used to say, I'm not going to give you a thick line architecture. You will be shunted from one to another. But that gave you exposure of across verticals, across geographies. Then onwards, you became head of multiple businesses, you know, in the terms of it.
Yeah.
But the way Chandra challenged, pushed, expanded the boundaries, often in a very ruthless way, but with only one perspective that, you know, he wants you to grow, you know, the part, and he wants the company to grow. So at every change in TCS, I was one part of the change, you know, to make the change happen. Since there were other people as well, you know, the part. But when you're part of a change to see the company from 1 billion to 15 billion in as many years.
Amazing. Amazing.
I think that helps you completely broaden the horizon and having dirtied your hands on multiple things, you know, the perspective. So those are the 3 milestones from a thinking process to a molding and changing the business model to a scale. You know, in terms of it, I would like to put it as a milestone. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And I'm sure our viewers and listeners are going to see huge value in this. Means when you were talking about whether Chandra or Mr. Phil or Srinath, I can clearly see that, you know, while you are getting inspired or they could be your role models, I think it was very important and it is clearly demonstrated and visible here is that you have imbibed those values and which is transforming now your current companies, I would say, not just one company, where I've seen that I think your growth story going from very small turnover to very, very high turnover. While, you know, we don't ask any questions related to company or, you know, asking you to talk about your growth plans or strategies, because the purpose is to focus on the other side. But I think these are the things which are very important for our viewers, particularly the enterprising guys, you know, who aspire to be into their own or want to, you know, build their companies from good to great and probably build to last, as they say. This is all going to be highly valuable. So this is really some good insight which you have given while you talked about your 3 milestones. No doubt on that. So when it comes to now your leadership, you know, leading so many companies, What does leadership mean to you, Mr. Raghavan?
See, first thing, you're only as good as your people. I don't think there is anything beyond that. There is no heroism in leadership. You're only as good as your people. The only thing then is, are you able to create a set of people who share the same vision? It's not about org structure. It's not about org design. Are you able to create a set of people who share the same vision, who pursue that even if you are not there?
Yeah.
And I think that sharing of values and with the same equal energy and optimism and ambition, I think then the success is not even a factor of negotiation. It will happen. And again, it goes back, that's what TCS is today. If TCS leadership is all about, there is no org structure, is as vague as what it could be. But there is a well-defined process and beneath it. So there is up to N-4 people, leaders know their people by name. So it's, when you come to TVS first, it was a bit of a culture shock for people that I call N-3 directly and say, what's happening in your field today? Did you face any problem with your customer? Did competition do something? What help do you need? Initially, people thought that I am bypassing the levels and I'm going to create politics in the company. But when I root it back to the leader and said, maybe you're missing this for your success, and this is what you could think it through, suddenly they felt this is actually enabling them. And in a way, it helps them to have a shared value within themselves. So today, I would say in the last 10 years, we haven't lost a single leader except one person for a different reason. There is zero attrition up to N-2. And we all talk from night 11, morning 6, whatever be the time we talk and we move on. We are one large set of people with around 40, 50 leadership who think, behave the same way.
Same way.
And for us, it's the same ambition, what we want to do in the marketplace. In fact, none of them even ask what is their org structure. Whom do they report to? While it's all there for appraisal purposes. Because when the market changes, the customer changes, any designation is only for the customer. Internally, it's only an ego.
Well said, well said.
So we just knocked it off and said, we'll not work for egos. But these 40, 50 people have a strong future in the company. They should not worry about it. The confidence which you give to them that they don't have to worry about their future. As long as we respond to market stimulus every day and organize ourselves accordingly. So we have our org structure every 6 months, it keeps changing. Different groups takes place, different people, because the new some skill set is needed for addressing an opportunity which is not here. Maybe sometime I get the criticism of I'm being too responsive to the market, which you don't need to be, but it has worked so far.
Yeah.
I would say that's the first thing I'd say, a leadership by mindset.
Leadership by mindset.
And the second one is leadership is our right. The thing which we imbibe ourselves saying to win in the market is our right.
Right.
If you've been in the business for 110 years as an organization, and if the company knows more business than anything else, how do we articulate that business and how do we move forward is our right. It's like how Cricket Australia used to do when Ponting was there. Winning the cricket match is the right for them. So they were so clinical. They come in to win. They don't come to play.
True.
I think India imbibed that extremely well. That's how Indian cricket evolved. Okay. So leadership is a mindset. I think leadership is also a right.
Right. True.
And in the process, don't lose the people. People are key.
Yeah.
Rest all doesn't matter. It will fall in place.
Yeah. So when you say almost zero attrition, clearly reflects your leadership. People are enjoying working under you. That clearly shows some key values which you have imbibed, key qualities as a leader. So one is Mr. Raghavan is at workplace as a leader. But how is Mr. Raghavan at home as a parent?
You should check with my kids. I wouldn't know. But I can only say is, your role also evolves, right? It's in not being academic, you keep learning. I still remember one day my daughter came and said, can we go for a walk? She was in 8th standard or 9th standard. I didn't realize it. I said, why walking now? She said, I just want you to come for a walk. So we went down for a walking. He came back and we just casually chatted something. Then before entering home, she just hugged and kissed and went into the home. And she didn't say anything. I realized that what mistake I'm doing, that not giving her the time what she needs.
Okay.
From a personality. It's nothing to do about her academics, nothing to do about anything. I think that event changed me significantly. Till then, I didn't realize whether I was a right father or not, honestly.
Okay.
The part. It was her 7th or 8th, I don't remember that. It was morning around 6:30, and it was a rude shock for me.
Yeah.
After that, I think it changed. Today, me and my daughter are my best friends. But whatever happens in a college, what happens here, it's a best friend. The part, and I think I've evolved as a father because of my daughter.
Excellent.
So it's not that I am a right father. I think she made me a right father.
Right, father.
But only thing is, you have to listen to her unspoken feelings. What she is saying. And that's what it is. The second one was, I would say, is a very different. I was traveling in a train to Hyderabad. And I'm sorry, Shailen, I'm going to give you anecdotes because that changed.
Please. Yeah.
We were going, there were 2 elderly women speaking to themselves, and they're all staying with their sons and daughters. He said, my son is working very hard. I know that he's working hard. It's tough time in his office. He comes home, he will look at me and say, how are you, ma? But the only thing is, he doesn't wait for my answer.
Okay.
He feels good that he has inquired about me, but I feel good that he's inquired. But if he stayed for 5 more minutes and listened to me, I would have felt more good.
True.
Actually, I think it's a significant thing. So I came back, and that day onwards, every day I come home. Even when my mom is sleeping, I wake her up and say, how was the day? What did you do today? She'll say 10 minutes, this happened, that happened, servant made this, anything she will say. But after that, I say, okay, go sleep and I'll go up. And I'm not doing this as a ritual, well intended.
Well intended.
And she was telling my sister that, one thing good with your brother, he speaks to me every day. He doesn't talk to me, he speaks to me every day.
Yeah.
The part. I thought that learning really helped me to shape as a better son. I don't think parents today need our money. They just need the physical presence. And take them to a doctor or take them to a sari shop to get her a sari. It just needs half an hour, 1 hour a month. But it makes a huge difference to them by being emotionally stable.
Absolutely.
I think that is the event and the practice which I imbibed after that, hearing to that conversation in the Hyderabad train, the part when I used to, in 2000, I still remember. So now 21 years, I'm doing that as a ritual every day. And I'm traveling, I speak to her twice a day.
Oh.
So when I board the flight, I'll call her before boarding the flight, and landing I'll call her. I've landed safely. Because then she feels very, very comfortable through the day. The part of it. So I think these, significantly changed, what role you play at home. And when my wife wanted to leave her job in Deloitte, and in fact, I remember there were a few nasty moments. I had to tell her, resign, you're not spending time with the family and all that. But I never realized that there was a spark in her because she was seeking her identity from her contribution in work.
Okay.
Not what she does in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Traditionally, all of us are brought in a fashion that, your wife, whether she works or not, but you want her to cook for you. The part. Right or wrong is different.
Yeah.
But when she wanted to do a startup, and by leaving the Deloitte, and I told her, look, you might not have all the time, but you have to be prepared for it. Maybe somebody will cook at the kitchen, and you need to take it in your stride. It's possible that I might not ask you every day for food, because once you're entering into a startup, you become responsible for your people who work for you.
Correct.
They don't work for a company, they work for you.
Absolutely.
You cannot shut down this company. I will support you, but you can't shut down the startup, whatever situation is. You have to run it because those people belong to you. They would have got a good job in a corporate, but they left to join you.
So what startup, if I may ask you?
She does a digital CFO. She counsels SMEs and startups, other startups. She was a chartered accountant. She was with Deloitte for 15 years. So she developed a IT digital cloud-based CFO platform and provide virtual CFO through digitally. And now she has around 70 clients, 70 people. I think she proved me wrong in every aspect. She's a better entrepreneur than me. She's doing extremely well. Now she manages home. But what did just come back to the question, Shailendra, is being a good parent or a son or a husband is not about what you are. Are you able to realize what identity the family needs, the members of the family need? Your daughter might need a separate identity for herself. Where is her identity going to come from? Your son might need something. Where is it? If you're able to understand where they derive the identity,
Absolutely.
and help them to get that identity, they actually double the work for you to get what you feel at home. Because once they realize their identity, they become fulfilled.
True.
They become more home-centric. Then home becomes home.
Yeah.
And that's a learning process I've gone through.
Yeah.
So it's not about roles. It's about like how you do at your office. Help your family members realize their identity. Your mom possibly feels that at 75, she still contributes to the family. She's not poking her nose. She wants to contribute. She doesn't want to feel that she's become a burden to you.
Yeah.
You give that sense to her and that pride to her, she is for you. Your father feels that he still can give some advice to you. He knows that you don't need him.
Correct.
He knows that the conditions are different.
Yeah.
But still you ask two questions. Can I do this paper? Knowing that you're not waiting, you don't want his answer. But the fact he gave an answer to you, the fact he feels that you have heard his answer, he's a very different person. I think your daughter or a son or a wife, it's the same.
Absolutely.
That's all it is.
Yeah. Means really impressed. And, when we are looking at the other side and, this is absolutely a different dimension also you have given to the other side. Means within the other side, the way you have spoken about given the anecdotes, I'm sure that it is going to inspire our viewers a lot. And that is the whole purpose, of knowing you as a human being. Apart from you are well-established business leader, I think was always the key objective of, doing this kind of series. And I'm really happy the way you have spoken and very passionately, Mr. Raghavan. So that's really good. Maybe on the lighter side, we will come to a few things like, would like to ask you, what are your hobbies which you are still pursuing?
I'm a voracious reader. I have a good library at home. I have around 1,000 books.
Oh,
and but of late, my deep interest is in philosophy. I do want to say one thing to you and the viewers, which I feel strong about. Today, being conservatism is being made as a, what do you say, something which you need to feel shy about. And liberalism is modern. And a lot of our scientific thinking of the past is being taken over as a superstition. And a lot of science which came recently through English has been taken as a final answer. Life teaches you every day. We have a 5,000-year civilization which has taught through the years. Maybe it's come through words. It's not come through scripts. It's not, but there was no need to prove it because ours is a continuous civilization. There is no need to prove it works because you see it for your parent, you see it for your grandparent, you see it for somebody. It was a very collective setup.
Yeah.
When you move to a collective to an individualistic setup, you need to prove it. Because in individualism, there is no collectivism. There is nobody to share. And India is going through a journey of collective to individualism with the expansion of economy.
True.
So obviously, science has a big role to play. But the method of proving while it's important for an individual to trust and believe, yes, there is an outcome, but that should not give away to discount everything what the civilizations have brought about. The untold or an unexplained scientific concepts cannot be brushed away in the name of science. That's why I said scientific thinking existed in the past. You can't add one word in Sanskrit without analyzing it through 6 layers and say, yes, it's the right word.
True.
You analyze the root, you analyze the sign, phonetics, you analyze the ontology, you analyze epistemology, you do phonetics, everything you have to do. Only then you accept a word in Sanskrit.
Okay.
If you want to argue, there are 18 ways to argue to remove truth, objects, perception, relationship.
Really?
I think we miss all that because we call it Vedic. Because we call it. I think we are not, our education has not taught us to differentiate between religion, philosophy, and science.
Okay, really.
We're bundling everything into one, which is the biggest risk.
Absolutely.
And the truth of the civilization lies in this differentiation. That's my hobby. And I'm writing a book. I hope very soon it will come out, in terms of it.
Okay. Okay, that's really good. And I'm sure that people would be very eager to get that book, read that book. And if it's not on your life, I would always think, Mr. Raghavan, that you should also think of writing autobiography.
Not bad. There's a long way to go.
I think somewhere, your life journey is going to inspire a lot of generations, so I can clearly sense that. Means in our 35-40 minutes conversation also, there are so key takeaways for our viewers. I'm sure a book on your life will give us so many anecdotes, so many learnings from your life, and so much inspiration. So really, really happy with that. I know we are just coming close to that, but this last question, which I generally ask all my guest speakers, what is one key message you would like to give it to the next generation?
There is nothing called constraint.
Okay.
Constraint is the mindset. Don't accept anything as status quo.
Okay.
That's it. Just explore. The boundaries can only be set by us. There exists no boundaries.
Fantastic. Fantastic. That's a very powerful message. I can clearly see that. Okay, so I didn't realize that, we had 40 minutes of conversation almost, and it was a very rich conversation. I must tell you, Mr. Raghavan, I really enjoyed this conversation with you, and thanks a lot for giving your precious time from your busy schedule. And I know how busy you are, while you are still taking time out for your Vedas, for your family, for ensuring that, your life is well spread across. So you talked about time management so well. So I can imagine, in spite of managing so many responsibilities, how you are always keeping your calm, and there are so many things which I can actually see coming from your life. So really would like to express our sincere thanks to you for your time, and would like to wish you all the best to make many more success in your life.
Thank you very much. Nice talking to you. Absolutely. It's nice to see you after a long time. It's been 2 years.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.